Okay. Always takes a couple of seconds for people to come in from the waiting room into the webinar room. So it'll be a few more seconds. We had more than 170 people sign up for this one, which is great.
Oh, wow.
No pressure. But typically we don't get that many on the webinar, so it'll just be a fraction of that, I'm sure. But people are definitely interested in learning more. I've seen a lot of articles posted recently on restaurants around the state that are offering grocery, which is great. And I think in each metro area, at least, sorry, Chris, but each major metro area, I know that there's at least someone who is tracking too, like who's offering grocery and who's still open for it to go and carry out as well, which is really helpful. Okay, I think we've kind of leveled out a little bit in terms of attendees. So welcome everyone to our webinar. I really appreciate you being here in the middle of the day. My name's Anna Tazen. I'm the Chief Revenue and Innovation Officer for the Texas Restaurant Association. And I have with us today 3 wonderful chefs and owners from different restaurants around the state. So I'll give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves in just a second, but we're gonna do a couple little housekeeping items. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the Q&A box to ask your question. And then I'm reminding myself right now, that the chat window is also open for conversation throughout the webinar. So if you have any suggestions with something someone is saying, feel free to jump in, or if you want to answer someone else's question in the chat, please feel free to do that. This is your opportunity to learn from each other. So that said, I think I'm going to kick it over to Trent first to introduce himself, and then Sarah, and then Chris.
Hi, my name is Trent Patterson. I'm the Director of Operations and one of the owners at Dish Society in Houston. We opened our first restaurant back in 2014 and opened our first grocery store about 3 weeks ago. So,
cool. Sarah?
Hey y'all, my name's Sarah Hurd. I'm the co-chef, co-owner of Foreign and Domestic in Austin. We bought it back in 2017. And we're also newly opened grocery store operators. Chief flour bagger.
Go ahead, Chris.
Hey guys, I'm Chris Berry. I am a managing partner at River Smiths here in Lubbock. Been open since 1976. I've been a partner for the last 8 years, and again, just learning this new grocery thing to keep the lights on.
Yeah, understandable. I mean, this is very new for everyone. So I kind of want to know, just before we dig into the grocery element, how are you guys doing? Like, how are you doing? How are you feeling today? Anyway, I know things change day to day, but Sarah, do you want to start? Like, how are you?
It's been a roller coaster. Every day is a little bit different. You're not really sure if it's going to be busy, if it's not going to be busy. We see runs on things as far as grocery goes that, one day we won't sell any sugar and the next day we sell 40 pounds of sugar. So it's been a really interesting thing to kind of get to know. It's its own beast. We're used to running a restaurant. We know that beast. And it's been really emotional because, running a restaurant's what you love to do. And this is, bagging flour. It's fun for a day, to challenge. And we just want the restaurant back. That's all. We miss it.
Yeah.
It's emotional.
I understand. Yeah. I'm a regular at your restaurant too, so I want you guys back too. Chris, how are you doing? How are you? How's your wife? How's the staff?
We're holding our heads up high, trying, as everyone knows, the staff looks to the top for the inspiration and, how the mood's going to be for that day. So we're trying to hold our heads up high, stay confident. I can't really complain because we're so blessed with our concepts, and we explained this to our crew at the initial crew meeting when unfortunately we had to let about 20% go. That of course tugged at our heartstrings, but we told them how blessed we were. We're a fast casual over here, so we have a drive-through. We do a tremendous amount of call-ins, and not necessarily curbside, but a tremendous amount of originally, but now we do a ton, of course. But we have the drive-through, so we're so blessed to be able to have that already ongoing, and we didn't have to start it from scratch after this whole mess began. So we're extremely blessed. We're hovering around 50 to 60% of the sales of what we should be, this point last year. And I know a lot of our colleagues are, not even anywhere close to that. So, I have nothing to complain about. We have nothing to complain about. We just thank our lucky stars and thank the Lord every day for the blessings.
That's great. Really, really, really positive outlook. Thank you. Trent, how are you guys doing?
Good. It's been fun seeing my wife's a teacher, so she's been teaching class from home. So that's always been fun. But all our team has had pretty high spirits. They've been excited that we're kind of pulling out all the stops to keep everyone employed and keep everything going. It's been really fun to do for the community because there's been a lot of people who have literally said we're saving their lives because they're not having to go to a grocery store and fight over toilet paper. They're able to stay in their car, keep their windows rolled up. We load it into the back of their truck and they go on about their days. So not going to lie, I spent a bulk of the beginning of my career in a drive-through restaurant. So I've been super excited to have my drive-through back.
Nice. Is that why you're wearing the headset today too? You're just so used to having it on your ears there?
No, my mic on my computer doesn't work. So it's just the mic on my headset that does.
Got it. Got it. So let's stick with you a little bit, Trent, first and tell me a little bit more about like what kind of products are you currently selling and what's been selling the best so far?
So in our virtual farmers market, we are selling bulk coffee, our CSA produce boxes, cold pasteurized milk from Milk King, ground beef, eggs, bread, OJ strawberries, ham, bacon, tortillas, toilet paper, and flour right now. Obviously, the produce boxes and eggs are our two biggest sellers, but milk and toilet paper have been moving pretty well. I mean, pretty much everything else is pretty even across the board, across all of our current restaurants. Again, all of these are from our local suppliers that we use currently in our restaurant. So we've been able to keep the guys at Atkinson Farms almost fully staffed and fully producing. They normally deliver to us twice a week, but now they're delivering like 5 or 6 days a week because we need so much going. So we've been really blessed to be able to keep a lot of those guys as busy as they can handle. So
that's good. That's good. So Sarah, I know you call yourself the chief flour bagger at this point. So talk a little bit more about what you're offering at Foreign Domestic and what's selling the most right now.
So we started out small, just with a few things. Started with flour, sugar, milk, and eggs were our first 4 that we put on. As those started getting crazy and we started looking around and seeing what else we could add, it's gotten much bigger. At one point, I put on a mask and went to H-E-B and walked down the aisles to see what was empty. And that's what we landed on. So a lot of it's like salt and yeast. Yeast was a big one. We've sold, I think I did the math this morning, it was 13 pounds of yeast in the last 2.5 weeks, which is, nobody needs that much yeast. And we've sold 689 pounds of flour. So we do flour in 1 pound increments, and we also do it in 5 pound increments. Eggs, we do by the dozen or we do by the flat, and we started adding the flat as an option because I couldn't keep up trying to cut down the flats into dozens because people were ordering 4 and 5 at a time. Oh. We've sold 134 dozen eggs by the dozen and 48 flats of 30 eggs in 2.5 weeks. So our dairy and egg distributors really happy right now. That being said, we did have an issue with our pricing. We ordered 6 cases of eggs and they showed up and they were $75 a case. And they're usually in the $35 range. So we had to talk to them, and a lot of that is that the farms are raising their prices with demand, and they're having to, they've got to cover their costs, but we were able to talk them down a little bit, and part of that is just that we are helping the community. We're doing this. We're not making a huge amount of margin, or our margins are not very big on commodities. They're there, and they're definitely helping us. But a huge part of it is that we're helping our neighborhood. We're smack in the middle of a neighborhood. So a lot of the people that they walk from their house, they pick it up off the table and they walk back to their house, which is cool to see that they're not in the grocery store, because I feel like the grocery store is kind of a scary place right now.
It totally is. I haven't been to a grocery store in a month. I mean, you've been supplying me honestly with a lot of items that I need, which is great. And I hear what you're saying about people buying a lot of yeast. I don't think that they know how much it actually takes
to they need, right?
a loaf of bread, but that would explain why Austin, Texas smells like fermentation station now.
Everybody's asking, do you have sourdough starter? And I'm like, it takes 2 days. You just throw some flour and some water together.
Come on, y'all.
Yeah.
You can do this. It's not too bad. So Chris, tell us a little bit about, what sort of things you're selling, and are you selling it for both curbside and handing it through the to-go line or the drive-through line too? Tell us a little bit
We
about
are. Yeah, we try not to limit our capabilities on taking care of that. We even offered delivery right from the get-go. So we, in our original concept, pre-pandemic, we did not offer individual deliveries, but we offered like mini caterings, for groups. So we rolled right in and said, well, if you order $50 or more in groceries, we'll deliver for $5 as long as it's within city limits or within reason. So we've had some requests to go a little further out, and by appointment, we're able to maintain those on an individual basis. But when this all started, I want to say we got in early. I don't know how early everyone else got in, but I think by that first Saturday we already had our first grocery list when this whole mess began. And we try to focus on stuff we already had in the restaurant, so we would not have to bring in extra groceries, and not knowing how long this was going to last, how long we were going to be able to maintain operations, all that stuff. I was trying not to get stuck with too much groceries we couldn't move. So since we do a lot of comfort food over here, we always have a ton of flour, sugar, rice and beans, all that stuff. So we focused originally on the staples and just focused on keeping it consistent in 5-pound bags, 5-pound increments. So we're doing, just like Chef Sarah, we're doing tons of 5-pound bags of flour, sugar, rice, beans, and then we added in we added in some produce. We don't do a tremendous amount of fruits normally in operations, but we brought in the fruits because that first week, Benny Keith, Cisco, everyone was trying to unload that produce before it spoiled on them. So we were able to hustle, I guess, if you will, some really great prices on produce, and pushed a bunch of that. Our original grocery concept included 2 different packages, so that way the customer wouldn't have to kind of pick through and find 5 or 6 items. They could if they wished, but we had 2 different setups, kind of a fill your fridge option for $143, and then a smaller budget option for about $60. So we were selling about 20 of those big packages a day, and a lot of those were going out for deliveries. So that was, of course, helped out sales tremendously. Like Chef Sarah mentioned, the markup isn't real great on that. What we did, we just kept consistent. We were basically doubling what it cost us. That way I know we had money to cover payroll, the labor it took to kind of bag up the items, and keep the lights on, keep the restaurant going.
Sure. I kind of want to go back to that question because it was asked by Ruben, and thank you, Trent, for answering that live so that people can see that in the Q&A window too. But can each of you talk a little bit about your markup right now? Chris, you kind of alluded to it, and Trent, you gave something really valuable here to try and price competitively in terms of close to HEB prices, which for those of you not in Texas, that is our most beloved grocery store here in the state. So how do you guys look at markup, and what are you doing for that, Chris, and then Sarah?
Yeah, so we're just staying consistent. Just about everything. If it costs me $2 to bring in, or in that increment, we're charging $4. And I think that's held pretty good as far as consistency. We're also keeping an eye out for market prices in the grocery stores. But originally it was more like you can get it here and you can't get it over there. And we didn't gouge anything. We thought it was a fair price. We're blessed to have pretty good buying power with our deal with Benny Keith, so we bring in stuff at a really good value, and we felt we offered it a great value. We haven't gone into price wars. Some of our colleagues in town are offering this for a little bit less, and this for a little bit more, but we know that we can sustain on what we've priced it at for now, at least. So we're just holding constant on that.
Yeah. Sarah, what about you?
We have stayed pretty close on dairy. So butter, I think we mark it up $1 from what we pay. Milk, it's not even a full $1. We just kind of cover our taxes on that. And then things like flour that were moving so fast that we couldn't keep it on the shelf and we couldn't keep up with it. We did raise the prices a little bit on, but we just look at what we ourselves would be okay paying to stay out of the grocery store, that, because we're pretty conservative with our cash too. So we figure if we would pay that, it's fine. And it helped curb, we were, that first day we sold 100 pounds of flour, and it's just me and Nathan and 2 cooks right now. And so that's a lot on top of full dinner service. I think one of the big things for us, and this is off topic, but was keeping the staff busy, keeping the pulse in the restaurant. So our staff, they're not used to standing still. And if we weren't doing commodities too, there would be a lot of standing around. And so I think it's been really big for the morale for them, and it's keeping their rent paid as well.
That is helpful. So I have some questions too. I've been reading through the FDA labeling requirement guidelines, and I haven't dug into everything. So Sarah, right now, you guys I know are getting in larger bags of flour and redistributing into smaller bags of flour, right? What do you understand the labeling requirements to be?
We have, because everything was so quick and because we've been actually slammed with this, we haven't done a lot of research into it. We're kind of flying by the skin of our teeth. I'm labeling things with how many pounds it is, what the expiration date is, those big important things. And I'm just at this point hoping that that's okay. Like as far as eggs, we're making sure that we're selling them as large, and they are large. And then flour and things like that, we try to, if it's a 5-pound bag, it's probably 5.3 pounds, just to make sure that there's no discrepancy with our scale. There's nothing weird. I don't think anybody would be weird about it right now, but you just never know.
And I actually just posted the FDA guidelines for labeling during the pandemic too, just so we can look through them later. As far as I understand it right now, and I'll read through them later, but as long as you're not going crazy with it, it's fine. If people can identify it as flour and you're not saying it's like human growth flour or something weird, you're probably fine. So one question that I have for you, Trent, since you guys are moving a lot of produce in and out too, have you gotten any questions from people about how you're maintaining the safety and sanitization of the product itself? Are you guys wiping things down? I know you said that you guys have started to wear masks already, but what is your process there, Trent?
There hasn't been any guests that have reached out to us because we've been fairly proactive from the beginning. I mean, we've built 6-foot corrals around our order taker that's outside so people can't touch them. We're actually serving the food to the guest on trays or asking if we can put it directly into the back of their cars, changing gloves regularly. Everyone's wearing masks. I mean, the produce that we're bringing in still has dirt on it from the farm. So it's that fresh, like we talked about. We order it and then it's harvested and then it's delivered. So there's not really any time to do outside of the washing they're doing it at the farm. We just instructed people that this is like buying at a farmer's market. You got to wash everything like you normally would. But yeah, no, we've had people that have been really excited about all the measures that we've put into place and the things that we're doing to try to keep everyone safe. So
great. Chris, what about you guys? What are y'all doing to keep everything safe?
So we're not doing anything, that fresh as far as, farm to table, but, we're bringing in everything directly from Benny Keith and Cisco and the broadline purveyors. So all of it is pretty much ready to consume. We are ascertaining questions as they come in, as far as if there's specific questions. I guess you're getting a lot more people cooking than are used to, because you get some I guess maybe silly questions like, oh, how long is this baking gonna last, and this and that and the other, and maybe it's silly to us but not to them. But sometimes you want to say, well, if you lay it on your counter, it's not gonna make it through the afternoon, but if you put it in your fridge, you're just fine for a week or so. Stick it in the bags in the freezer and it'll last you a year if you need it. So some of those questions we're handling on a case-by-case basis. We got, I guess, consistent in labeling, so we're just doing simple postage labels and printing them on the computer and the printer here in the office, and then labeling them. And that's mostly because none of us have very good penmanship, so they couldn't understand what we were writing on there. But it keeps it consistent, and it looks a little sharper, I guess, with the pre-printed labels on there. And that way there's no doubt. And just kind of how Chef Sarah was referring to with the weight of the item and the name of the item, and just keeping it simple.
Yeah. And Sarah, I know that at your setup, you put the bags together and label them. You put them outside on a table too, right? How has that been received? No one's taking anyone else's bag, right?
So far, no, not that we're aware of. We've definitely forgotten to put some things in bags. It's again a whole new world for us, and you get halfway through packing a bag, and then the phone rings, and then you got to unpack the whole thing and remember what's in there. But we do two ways. So we do curbside. If it's not crazy busy, we'll come out to the car. We stand about 10 feet away. You roll a window down a crack, tell us your name, and I'll say, okay, go ahead and pop your trunk, and I'll grab it and put it in the trunk. We're using napkins to close the trunks, or in the case of them not having a trunk, the back door, so we're not actually touching their vehicles at all. Masks, we didn't do that the whole time, and we are doing that now. And just, I mean, so much hand sanitizer that my hands are on fire all day, every day right now.
Yeah.
It's wild. I've never seen as much hand sanitizer and gloves go out. And we have hard surface disinfectant. We're wiping everything like every 30 minutes. Nobody else is touching the door. I'm the only one that runs anything outside. Everybody else is inside all day. So I'm the only contact anybody has with anybody. And we figured that way, I know for sure we're not, I know without a doubt that we're following the rules.
Yeah.
Because it's just me.
We have a good question actually here from the Q&A group. Isaac is asking if any of you guys are moving frozen product, or is it all fresh or prepared?
We've just been doing fresh.
Yeah, we've just been doing fresh.
So we have a couple of protein options that we're offering, and so we're offering pork chops and chicken breasts and ground meat. So for the most part, it's fresh, but the pork chops and the chicken breasts we're maintaining frozen. That way, it's a little easier to ensure guest safety and make sure it's not being held too long and staying fresh until the customer needs to use it.
Got it. And I do see some of you in the Q&A window asking me questions about EIDL and SBA and PPP. You know that's normally what we're talking about every day. I will get to your questions when I can. If I can't answer them, go ahead and put it in there, and I'm happy to email you back later. But we will try and stick to this subject today for now. I'm sure we don't want to talk about PPP today, do we, guys? Not during this one. No. Okay. So what's been the response from the community? I know both of you, or all three of you, have kind of mentioned that in your comments so far, but Sarah, I know you're in the middle of a neighborhood, but what have been people saying to you as they come by and pick things up?
It's been amazing. People are so appreciative. They're so kind. I know that talking about tips is taboo, but the people have been tipping as if they're in the restaurant, which is definitely helping us pay the staff that we have on right now. But people have been so helpful, so appreciative. If they're confused, they're definitely asking questions. They're not just walking up. They're not touching the door. It seems like everybody really knows what's going on. Yeah.
Trent, what about in Houston?
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy to see people tipping 30 and 40% on their grocery orders. So that's been really cool to see. And, most people are treating it, we've had a lot of those $100 tips coming in to guys for like $20 worth of food. So there's a lot of people that understand the situation all our guys are in and where we are as a company. And they've been doing their part to help us out. Most of our restaurants are kind of neighborhoody, except for our downtown location. So there's a lot of that regular traffic that those guys kind of, we're their second home, so that, they're trying to still support us as much as they can.
Right. And Chris, I mean, you're in Lubbock. It's a very tight-knit community over there. So I'm sure people have been supportive, right?
It is tremendously supportive. I think you alluded to it. I don't know if all the panelists had joined when you alluded to it, but we're a non-metro chapter down here, so don't necessarily have the same support as some of the metros. But we don't have an official list ongoing of who's selling what, but we have a lot of Facebook groups that have been formed by the community saying either this is available here, or if you're looking for something, people can answer here. So that's been a tremendous help because we're able to jump on there individually, or a lot of our customers are saying, hey, you can get flour at Riversmith's, you can't find it anywhere else. So those kinds of things bring them in the door for sure. And then they're able to order the other things that they need. We've had a lot of our regulars, as Trent was alluding to, a lot of our regulars saying, how can we help? Can we buy groceries? You know, gift cards, what can we do? So we've had a good handful of them buying groceries and either getting them out to their family and friends, or donating some of the grocery packages that we've offered to medical fields, foster parents in the area. So we've been doing a lot of that. We just finished, I was telling you earlier, we just finished a school group. There's one of the pantry services that operates at one of the middle schools. We did 30 grocery bags for them just this afternoon. So, and you know, there's, you know, hardly any markup on it. We're not trying to make money. It just, you know, like Chef Sarah was talking about, it keeps the staff going. It looks good because it keeps everyone busy and productive. And of course, you're doing something good for people and kids and families that need it. So.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Also, your friend David Waddell says that he does support you. So just to remind you, you do get support.
Thank you, David. We love you.
So that kind of leads me into my next question too, about how you're getting the word out to people. I know that you mentioned Facebook, that people are talking on there about, you know, where can I find flour? Where can I find yeast? And people are responding that way. And I know that there's some local media that is also compiling lists right now, but Chris, tell us a little more about how you're getting the word out to people and your customers about, you know.
Yeah, so we began very rudimentary. You know, I don't know if you can see that very well, but, you know, we started with just a real simple, you know, table a spreadsheet table that I created on Excel, because, you know, my mind was racing like everyone else's. You know, what are we going to do to keep the lights on? What are we going to do to keep going, keep the staff employed? So that first weekend, my mind was racing on groceries. I said, we've got all this we can package. So we created a real simple spreadsheet that we were able to print off and hand out to every single customer we had coming to the drive-through or curbside takeout. So that helped a bunch, and people were like, oh, wow, you have groceries, because this was way before any of the media had grabbed onto a hold of any of it, before we had any social media posts. We put some stuff that weekend, and then right after that, starting I think Monday, our advertising firm grabbed it and made some, you know, some better looking graphics that we were able to put on social media and blast out. And you know, we do probably 2 or 3 sponsored Facebook posts every single day. That's been the focus of our advertising budget, I guess, if you will, to push it out that way. Handing out the sheets to customers, spreading the word out on your personal Facebook and social media, spreading the word out through friends and family in the area, and regular customers.
Yeah, Sarah, how about you guys? How are you getting the word out?
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry. We've always been very social media driven with our advertising. So the first thing I did was made a menu of everything that we were offering, and we started lunch too. So that was a big jump and got a lot of people's attention. But just started posting, and then every time somebody posts one of our, like a stack of flour at their house, or a stack of biscuits, or a loaf of bread that they got from us, or the bread that they made with the yeast, we just constantly repost it, so that people are seeing that other people are doing this, and they can see, you know, oh, they used their onions for this, or they, you know, did this with their pasta. We're selling a lot of fresh pasta as well. So we've done that. And then there's also In the Weeds. All of our servers are currently at home because we can't do a whole lot of service to go. Mm-hmm. So they are being really awesome. They're supporting us at home. They're going through In the Weeds. They're combing through their friends' posts. And anytime somebody says something like, I need a cake for my son's birthday party, you know, can anybody do it? They'll tag us in it. Or I need flour, or I can't find yeast. So they're really pushing it as well for us. And then, of course, just being super willing to answer any questions when the media calls, and the news stations and all of that, just being really proactive and jumping on any and every opportunity. We also posted it on our storefront. Our whole neighborhood is out walking their dogs. They're out bike riding. We're seeing, believe it or not, more people than we ever have. But, you know, and they're bored. So they're coming by, they're looking at the door, they're reading the menu. We'll poke our heads out the other door. We're lucky we have 2 doors that are about 20 feet apart. We'll, you know, let them know how everything works about the online ordering, and how to, you know, if they don't see something they want that we probably have, like onions was one that we eventually added because a lot of people asked for it, just to call us and let us know, and we'll set it up for them.
Smart. That's really good. Trent, I noticed that you answered this question on our Q&A thing, so I kind of want you guys to talk about that, about securing packaging. So how is that going for you at Dish Society?
Yeah, so I mean, the first few days there was a run on some of the just kind of random stuff, but we ordered in like 10 cases for every store, and then they've kept most of it in stock. We haven't had any issues since. Just looking at kind of product, we've kept all that extra we ordered as our rainy day if everyone does run out. We've been able to pretty much order everything consistently. There's been a couple small gaps, but we just ordered that online and been able to get that direction.
Yeah, Chris, how about you guys? Has it been okay getting packaging?
It's so far so good. We're it kind of alludes back to the blessing of our existing concept before the pandemic. We've got food trucks deployed, and we do a tremendous amount of concessions at certain school districts in town. So a lot of that stuff we already had in stock, and since there's no concessions being done at the schools and anything like that, then we're able to just consolidate all of our resources into the restaurant and build the supply of what we had. But so far so good. We haven't had any trouble getting any of the packaging.
That's good. Good. I'm just going to take a couple more questions here. And I know some people have been asking me privately, who's that other guy on the panel? So Sam Lilly is with Vendor. He's going to explain what he's doing here in just a minute. But he's supposed to be there. So don't worry. He's not just sort of creeped in. I'll explain what he's doing in a minute. But one question that we had from Lisa in the chat window was, is the demand for pasta as great as it is in the grocery stores? And are you guys selling fresh or dried pasta right now? Sarah?
We are selling semolina pasta that we make in-house. It's semi-dry, so we dry it for 2 to 3 days, but it's not shelf stable yet. It still has to be refrigerated. And the markup on that has been a little bit more than most of our commodities because we have a very small pasta maker. So we haven't seen a huge run on it, but I know that anytime we have, they call it our mac and cheese kit because we sell cassarecce, which would make a good noodle for mac and cheese, and everything to make bechamel. And then we also sell cheddar, so they laugh and they're like, everybody's just at home making mac and cheese. But that one definitely sells the most. And then we do sell a fairly good amount of spaghetti, but I would say not nearly what the grocery stores are selling right now.
Sure. You probably could just sell the mac and cheese kit. You might want to start bundling that together, maybe.
Yeah.
That sounds delicious. Also, I'm watching to see if you ever put your gnocchi up there, so that would be nice too.
What's that?
Your gnocchi.
Oh, the gnocchi. We did end up taking that one off because the labor was so high on that, and then we didn't feel like it was traveling as well as we wanted it to. So we modified to a very saucy pasta that we knew by the time it got home, it was still going to have that sauce to it and still be structurally sound.
Well, I appreciate that you guys are keeping your standards for what you want out there in the market too, even during this time. So Trent, I'm going to hand this question to you. This is from Maria in the Q&A window. She's asking, what is your exit strategy for any items you don't normally carry? Or what are you going to do with all that excess, I guess?
So really for us, the only item that we have that we don't carry is our ground beef. We're keeping some of it at our main commissary to ship out. And if any of those products get near the end of their shelf life, we're doing disaster meals for our employees. And then for any other restaurant employees that want to come in, we're doing 50% off. So we're doing things through that if we are heavy on something, but most of the things we serve are items that we serve regularly on our menu. So there's not a lot of concern that we have. I mean, the things that we ordered in super bulk quantities are all the dry ingredients that are going to last forever. So we're not too concerned about going through those. We'll know that we'll fly through them once we open our doors back open. But we're just being very careful with the meat and produce products.
Yeah, that's true. Chris, what about you? Are you guys have anything excess that you're worried about offloading whenever this is over?
No, not really. Just kind of like Trent was alluding to, we haven't brought in a whole lot of stuff that we don't normally use. And then, we're hoping that things get back to normal as our catering season rolls around, which is the beginning of summer, because every single product we have in stock, even what we brought in for groceries, we can utilize in catering. So we're not too worried about it at this point.
Cool. Just real quick too, Ruben's asking in the Q&A window, how many locations you guys are operating? I don't think we said that in the beginning. Y'all want to explain that real quick?
So we're operating 4 of our 5 locations. Our downtown location in Finn Hall, the entire food hall closed, so we didn't really have an option there. But because of it's a natural gathering place for large quantities of people, they're thinking about reopening in the next couple of weeks now that they've gotten all the furniture moved out, some of those kind of things. But yeah, no, we're running 4 of our 5 locations currently.
Cool. And Chris and Sarah, y'all have 1, correct?
1 location. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. This is kind of an interesting question from Isaac, who is from Montana. So happy you found your way to us here in Texas. He says, I've run the numbers for 2 restaurants and they suggested that they should not do grocery because they would most likely not move enough units to break even. This is partly because of an insignificant price increase from Cisco. No hate on any of our suppliers. We love everybody. Are y'all seeing price increases from the larger food suppliers when you're doing your ordering? And is it significant in Texas? It's open to anybody.
I'll jump in there. We had not seen any price increases other than normal market, I guess, adjustments. You know, that first week, the produce was, you know, basically come and get it and it's yours. So we tried to push a lot of that fresh fruit. We were sending a lot of heads of romaine and iceberg lettuce, just stuff you couldn't get at the grocery stores. They couldn't stock it fast enough. Just this week, I think, I don't know if everyone can relate, but ground beef jumped a bunch this week. So we'll have to make some heavy adjustments later on this week when we get onto the next batch of ground beef. But everything else has held steady. We lost 1 or 2 of our deviations because of, you know, whatever the fine print is in those deviations. But it didn't jump exponentially, not yet.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Sarah.
We're treating everything just kind of like market value. So as the product comes in, we look at the invoice. If there has been an increase, we'll adjust as much as we can. If it's something like the eggs that had doubled in price, we're going to call them and see what we can do about that, because I'm not going to just double my prices. But we're just kind of taking it as it comes, just like everything else right now. And I think the eggs is the only thing that we've seen a huge increase on so far. And then milk went up a little bit, but not as much as those eggs. But that's really it. That's the only big increases that we've seen.
Yeah, that's the blessing with us buying things from local guys, is we
Right.
form those partnerships, and they know that right now that like price increases is not what's supposed to be happening. I'm doing everything I can to keep them busy, so they're honoring most of that. One of our egg suppliers was running through all of his crop and was trying to bring us in eggs from other suppliers as well. Other farms, and those other farms weren't willing to sell at the contract price that we had with him. So we've had some slight increase there, but just to help more people out, it was like $2 a case. So I was not going to split any hairs over that.
Sure. So Sam, this might be a good opportunity, a good time for you to say who you are and what your company is. Sam Lilly is with Vendor, and they are Austin based. So I apologize for everyone not in Austin, but I still think it's important for Sam to talk a little bit about his company, because I think there are complementary companies in other metros and other areas of Texas too. So Sam?
Yeah, hey guys. So I'm the founder and CEO of Vendor. We're a farmers market delivery service, but with the onset of COVID, it's kind of expanded and looking at different ways that we can, expand our food system, look at different ways of suppliers and distribution. What we're thinking is these meal kits or provision boxes that we're all talking about. For us, we deal with a lot of direct to consumer, and we're seeing a massive demand. Okay. Thank you, Anna. So we're seeing a massive for meal kits, people wanting to do it at home. For us, we offer our services free to restaurants because you guys have been taking like massive hits. So have our local farmers and local bakers and producers. So we're offering all of our delivery just free to restaurants, direct to consumer. The way we're able to cover our costs is by charging consumers a 20% convenience fee, but that allows us to do delivery for like $1 and at no cost to you guys. So it's just what can we do to help you guys bring in more revenue while also trying to get the public their groceries and not have to stand in line at an H-E-B.
Yeah, that's a good question, Sam. And I'm glad you're able to present that idea. I think it's volume, right? I mean, that's what grocery stores know better than anybody, right? They know that in order to turn profit, it's a volume business. And so that's why H-E-B and other grocery stores are doing fine right now, because they have so much need. We do know that before the pandemic, the share of the food dollar was essentially split, with it actually leaning a little bit more towards restaurant, where like if you spent $1 every year for your food in America, most of it was going towards restaurant. So 51% towards restaurant, 49% towards grocery. So that's one of the reasons why grocery is so overloaded right now and so many things are out of stock, is they've adjusted to that life, basically, that understanding that about half is where people are going to go get their food from, like half grocery store, half restaurant. So when we saw all these dining rooms close in the state, all of a sudden there was this run on grocery because people didn't know where else to go. And so restaurants have pivoted very quickly to try and offer, to go and curbside and delivery. But coming from restaurants where typically, I mean, Trent aside, because I know how much delivery business he typically does, it's typically only about 15% of a restaurant's sales, right? So for them to pivot very quickly to mainly offer that and then add grocery on top of it, it's very challenging. So I know you guys are all hurting, but like, what would you like to see from suppliers and local farms that could help you with this new grocery business as long as the pandemic's going on? Any thoughts?
Yeah,
I think
we've
for
had
us, communication.
Yeah, Sarah.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Just communication from them. If something is going up on market price, the sooner they can let us know, the better, because we might have outstanding orders. We're taking orders 5 days in advance. So when those eggs went up, I had already sold almost all of them. So just communication from our purveyors and distributors would be ideal. We've definitely, our local guys, we use Farm to Table a lot, and they've just been unbelievably helpful. If they have something that's maybe not going to last as long, if they have an overstock of strawberries, they're going to bring them to us, and they're just going to say, hey, I'll give you these at cost. Or, last week they just gave us some, because they would rather see them go somewhere that it's going to be beneficial than go bad. And that's about as helpful, I think, as they can be, because they're in not a great situation themselves.
They are. Chris, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, just, right now is the time to really fine tune that relationship you have with your DSR, or, whoever your salesperson is, or contact with each and every one of your providers. We're on the phone almost every day with our different sales reps, trying to stay ahead, to see what's coming in, how they think the market's going to change on this price or that price. But we've also had a tremendous proactive response from them, saying, like the Cisco's and the Benny Keiths are offering different protein packages, and you can custom order it almost like a drop ship. So there's not really too much investment involved in it. If you're pre-selling, like Sarah was mentioning earlier, you can offer those packages, and it doesn't cost you anything to bring them in. It costs you very little to market them. And if you sell them, you bring it in and sell it. So there's nothing sitting on the shelf. So we're trying to focus on some of that, but definitely reaching out to those normal contacts we have, and just working hard at those relationships and trying to keep the communication lines open. Just like they were talking about, they're working twice as hard for half the money right now. But this is when we all got to come together and work together.
Yeah, I mean, we've told all our vendors that this is when the time to make friends, not money. So it's, we're in this to see who's going to be with us in the next 5 or 10 years as we grow. And the people who are scratching my back right now are going to be the first people that I scratch their back when things are back full going and blowing. And, when we do a new menu for the summer, we're keeping an eye on those vendors and making sure that as much of their ingredients as possible wind up on our menu, for sure. And that's the same thing we're doing with any new vendors who are trying to approach us to sell products through our deal. Is, remember, this is a time for us to make friends with each other. This isn't a competitive business opportunity. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it because we want to grow together, not because we just want to milk out as much as we can over the next few months.
Yeah, that's good. We have a comment from Janine from Cisco. Thank you for this, Janine. She says she works for Cisco, and they're offering a lot of items on very discounted rates, especially for items that have a close expiration date. And they call it a push list. So for those of you, I see you all nodding, so you all know this, but those of you attendees, be sure to ask your sales rep for a push list from Cisco or Benny Keith or Jake's or any of your providers. And they can also help with flyer design, grocery build packages, promotional ideas, that kind of thing. So if you're a client of them, be sure to reach out. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see here. Any questions from the Q&A window? We're getting towards the bottom of the Q&A window, so I think we're pretty good. I do want to ask about beverages. So Trent, I know you already answered this in the Q&A window, but talk to me a little bit about what kind of beverages you guys are selling. Are you doing fountain drinks? Are you selling bottled drinks? I don't want to get into the alcohol conversation really, but tell me a little bit about how that's going. Are you selling sealed beer and sealed wine? Okay, Chris?
Yeah, we're selling lots of fountain drinks, bottled drinks, all those things for sure.
Great. I know that's a a concern from our partners at Coca-Cola and Pepsi and Dr. Pepper is not seeing as many sales of fountain or beverages right now, and we want to keep pushing those too, because I know that's an easy thing for restaurants to sell. So Chris, what are you guys doing?
We have seen a decrease in individual drinks going out with orders, just as you're alluding to there. But we have seen an increase in gallon drinks. So we're offering gallon teas, gallon lemonades. We normally offer, I think, 6 or 8 different brewed tea flavors and combinations on a daily basis when it's a normal operating day. So we've since reduced that to coconut tea or peach tea for the day, and then lemonade. So we're able to sell those by the gallon. It increases your ticket average, and it moves it a little faster, and it's able to. It's a great perceived value because the family takes it home. For example, we sell a gallon of tea for $5, and it's going to last a family of 5 all day, and maybe stick it in the fridge, and you've got some leftovers for tomorrow too. And it's great markup because it costs you maybe $1.50 to brew 5 gallons of tea. So it's good markup and a great perceived value as well.
That's great. Sarah?
We're doing a lot of beer and wine. And then the only non-alcoholic that we've been doing is like Topo Chico, Rambler, anything that's sold, Mexican Cokes. At brunch, sometimes we've done some orange juice, and we just pour that in a cup, just like a regular drink that they would take home with them. But we do put it on our order list right next to the bottle of cava, so hopefully they're making their mimosas at home. But I would say beer and wine sales alone have been 9% of our total sales for the last 2.5 weeks.
Might just be 1%.
That's great. That's really great. Yeah, that's good from what I'm hearing from people.
Not labor involved, which is awesome.
Right. That's the great thing. I mean, that's kind of what Chris mentioned too, right? The markup is really good on beverages for stuff like that because it's just sort of in the door and out the door. Which
absolutely.
Yeah. There are some other things on our wish list, I know, for beverage selling too, and we'll address that later. But I think if I have to bother Emily about that one more time, she's going to lose her mind. So let's talk about it today. But I did see a comment from our Q&A window from Sue. Hey, Sue. Yes, absolutely want to give a shout out to our friends at Benny Keith. You guys have been very supportive with everything we're doing. Benny Keith also has the grocery items available, market trend sheets that they put out daily, and a lot of partner communication. So if you're looking for that from your supplier partner, please do that. Someone is asking in the Q&A window, Grant, their brew pub in Texas. I really feel for a lot of brew pubs and breweries right now. They're still not allowed to deliver their beer. And has anyone used third-party delivery drivers to deliver beer to anyone? So the tricky thing is with that, Grant, that mixed beverage. So Sarah, you don't have mixed beverage, right? You have
No, we're just beer and wine only. So we already had a retail license. I know they made some changes to that, but it was not something that affected us. We were already ready to go on that.
Yeah, which is great. So beer and wine resellers, they're the only ones that are legally able to sell crowlers and growlers out the door right now too. So they could do sealed manufacturer, but they're the only ones that can do growlers and crowlers. So I would really reach out to people that have that kind of license in your area, because they are able to deliver, to go, and curbside crowlers and growlers of beer. And I know a lot of brew pubs and breweries have products sitting in a tank right now that you can't move, and I'm so sorry about that. But look for people that have the beer and wine license. Those are the ones that will be able to move your product for you. Mixed beverage license holders, unfortunately, are not able to do that. They're able to sell, of course, manufacturer sealed bottles of beer and wine and liquor, as long as it's 375 milliliters or smaller, but they're not able to do growlers and crowlers. So that's kind of the difference there. Grant, I hope that helps a little bit as far as direction. Fingers crossed that maybe someday that can change, but definitely look out for the people that have the beer and wine resellers license. Okay. Okay, let me go back to my list of questions, see if I missed anything. Oh, talk to me a little bit, guys, about how you're selling your products. Some people are using Toast, some people are using Chow Now. I've seen a lot of different things out there. So what technology are you using right now for your ordering system? Sarah, will you start?
We're using Toast, and we had done a big to-go thing with Thanksgiving, so we were doing pies and baked goods during that time. We were all set up. I just had to modify the menu. We did have an outdated version, which caused some issues on stock quantities, so we were overselling things that were out of stock somehow, but they've fixed that for us. They've been nothing but helpful. Really quick to answer the phone and jump on and help us figure out what's going on. They've been awesome. And it comes so that you order online, you pay online, it prints out in the kitchen, it prints out on the front of house, and then we tag the bag, kitchen makes it, throw it in the bag, you drive up, we throw it in the trunk. It's been really awesome.
That's great. That's really great. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people use that successfully. Trent, what are you guys using right now?
We use Olo online ordering. So they've got a cool product where we're actually able to make it look like you're ordering delivery directly from us. So that's been our big push the last 3 months. Even before all this was marketing to our guests that currently order on any delivery platform, and really trying to make it easier for people to order delivery directly from us. We still end up using DoorDash to dispatch those orders out. But that's how we've been doing it. So it's been cool, because obviously I can't pay a 20% commission on a $30 produce box that I'm only marking up $3. So that's been really cool to be able to offer those things delivery using the Olo dispatch functionality.
Yeah, they are a great company. Chris, how about you guys? What are y'all using?
So kind of another blessing we can thank our lucky stars on. We had just transitioned over to Toast October 8th of 2019 to utilize for our in-house POS. And as Chef Sarah was talking about, they have a pretty robust online system. And to the best of my knowledge, I think they're offering that service for free even to non-Toast users right now throughout this mess. So I don't want to speak for Toast, but that's what I understood from our rep, that they were offering it as a free service. But we were able to tie in to our POS to offer the online, and it works great for managing stock. If you put it out of stock in the restaurant, it's out of stock online. So that works really great. And you can, of course, attach great, colorful, illustrative pictures on there to enhance the appeal. And just pushing it on our website and social media. But it's working great.
Great. Okay, so one more question. I think this person's asking how can they find good suppliers that have the products that they want. So it looks like maybe a supplier ran out of the product or isn't selling the product anymore. So how do you guys find your suppliers besides the broadliners?
We're still using our same suppliers for everything. We haven't done anything in the realm of finding new suppliers. We are using some more than we used to. Right now, we're about a mile from Restaurant Depot, so as far as to-go bags and to-go boxes, that's been a godsend. We weren't prepared for the amount of boxes and bags we were going to go through in the last 2 weeks, and I feel a little icky about my carbon footprint, but everything it's reusable, recyclable, so there's that. But that's about the only big change we've had on our distributor end.
Yeah, none of our suppliers have really had any issues getting product. There's been things where it's like it's not available on your order, but it's going to be delivered in the morning. And just like she said, we've had a lot of suppliers that we're using a lot more of and buying a lot more product from, but we've got something like 28 suppliers, so we've got the ability to kind of flux between those guys pretty easily. So that's been awesome for us.
So for us, we don't work with it. We work with all broadline providers. So we have 3 that we purchase from. We do not work with any locals, just like y'all were talking about. If one's out, the other usually has it in stock. So that's what we've been focusing on is just maintaining those existing relationships.
Great. And Chris, your Wi-Fi is messing up a little bit. I think it helps sometimes if you turn your video off and then we can still hear you okay. Your audio is just sort of lagging just a little bit.
Okay.
Thanks. And Sue, I see your note here in the Q&A window. Thank you. I know Benny Keith would like to remind you that they have more than 30,000 items in stock and are available, and they're really friendly. So thank you, Sue, for saying that. Carrie has a question. I think we can take this one question, then we'll probably close it. She said, Sarah mentioned the homemade pasta, and she's curious if there are other examples of what you guys are doing for value add products, anything like that. Sarah, you want to add to that maybe?
So we're doing the pastas, have been a big seller. Our biggest seller of anything and everything we're selling is biscuits, if you count it by quantity, not by revenue. So we're making a batch of 4 dozen biscuits every single day right now. And between sandwiches that they go on, because we're doing those for lunch, as well as just people ordering 10, 12 biscuits at a time for their whole family. Or we've had people ask if they freeze well, and obviously I don't think they freeze great, but they're fine. So people are bulking up on things. We're doing loaves of brioche, loaves of focaccia. Those are definitely selling out super fast. That's why the numbers are not high on our sales, because I physically cannot keep up with baking. But those are things that people are really, really buying quickly. I think you've actually got a loaf of brioche a few times.
All right. Hey, you don't have to, yes, you don't have to share my secret. I have a loaf of your brioche sitting in the corner over there. Thank you very much. Yes, it's very good. What about you, Trent? Any new value add items that you guys have offered on the grocery menu?
Not that I can, I've got a list pulled up. I'm trying to think if there's not really anything that we are modifying ourselves. The produce crates, our suppliers bringing in directly prepared for us, so we're not having to assemble those. We've talked about, we don't make our own pasta, but we've been trying to find like a local supplier that wanted to list their product on our deal, because we just didn't want to sell like bulk pasta that you can get from a supplier. There's nothing that we've created yet, and I'll reiterate, going through as many produce boxes as we had the first couple of weeks, our heads were just driving back and forth to the farm to pick those things up. So we've got 2 or 3 more phases of this. We're looking at doing our dressings and some of our sauces and things like that as this gets prolonged, so that people can have try some different things from us. So we're looking at rolling out another phase by the end of the week, probably with another 5 or 6 items, and then probably a third phase if this gets extended another month to really expand some of those things.
Smart. That's really smart. So, and just to reiterate to people too, the reason that we're able to do this right now is because of the executive order that Governor Abbott signed, allowing restaurants to basically become like miniature markets or grocery stores for now. It's only during pandemic. I'm curious though, will you guys continue to offer some products a la carte like this whenever this is over? It's just an additional thing to sell to go or delivery. Chris, what do you think?
Sorry, I lost connection there briefly. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that question?
Sure. Are you considering selling items? I mean, you guys have a drive-through, so it's a little bit different for y'all. But would you consider keeping on bulk items if you were able to? After the pandemic is over, because the order was only through the pandemic.
I don't think so. We don't foresee it right now. Just on a need-to basis right now. Afterwards, I don't see us holding on to that now.
Got it. Sarah, what about you? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I don't think so much on the bulk side of it, but things that are value added, like the fresh pastas. We had already been talking about doing that after the success of the Thanksgiving, pies and biscuits and pull-apart rolls. So I think those are the things that we'll probably keep on. I don't think much else of it, but possibly if it's allowed, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
We are certainly going to keep our farmers market going. We've had a lot of people that have just been super excited that, okay, like I love supporting the guys, but like I've got 4 kids and I hate dragging them down to the farmers market Saturday morning and it's hot and I don't want to deal with that. We've had a lot of people that have been that have liked being able to know where all of their stuff is coming from and being able to get their farmers market stuff on Tuesday. So they don't have to like stock up at the end of the weekend. They can order it 2 or 3 times a week. So we've had a lot of people voice that like if we take this away from them, they will never come back. So we want to make sure that we keep some of these things going for them.
I swear to God, these people and their hyperbole, right? It's a little much sometimes. Well, I'm gonna close it with that, but I did want you guys to each have a chance, if anyone's watching this and they want to support you, where could they maybe go and buy gift cards or contribute to your online funds or whatever you've got going on? Chris, do you want to give people your web address or something where they can find you?
Yeah, so we're on social media, facebook.com/Riversmiths. And we also have our website, riversmiths.com. And you can either purchase groceries or food directly from the website, or Facebook will direct you to whatever you're looking for.
Cool. Sarah?
Everything that we have, social media as well as the website, is at FND Austin. And so for the website, just add .com on the end of that. Everything's on there.
Great. Trent?
Yeah, we're just dishsociety.com, and the first pop-up on the screen directs you to order online and go directly to our online ordering platform.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you guys taking time out of these crazy busy days. Hang in there. We're here for you if you have any other questions. Attendees, thank you for joining us. And Sam, thanks for dropping by as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.